It is Tuesday's edition of BERNAMA. Today, right here on BERNAMA News Channel, is Fabian Assis and Tamina with you on the show. It is the 26th of June, and this particular day, we'll be sharing with you a lot about Malaysian stories. And just to let you know that we've heard of stem cells everywhere, but do we actually really know what it does and how it works?
Well, you'll be speaking to Dr. Alice a little bit later on the show, but you know what? The first order of the day, I think, is what was everybody's last view before they fell asleep. I'm talking about the World Cup.
Right, that's right.
So which matches did you watch, Fabian?
No, I gave up the World Cup the last 2 days for some learning course that I've actually attended. So that's the reason why that I didn't actually keep up with the World Cup. But doesn't mean our production team didn't watch the matches.
Absolutely.
And they have the results for you. Before that, if you're watching us on Astro 502, you can always catch us on our official news website as well, BERNAMA.com, channel 631 on Unify TV and 121 on My TV. If you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can follow our official page, and we stream live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And also don't forget that we are on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. It's BERNAMA News Channel on every platform. Make sure you tweet at us, tell us what you want to see more of on the show.
That's right.
But let's get it started off with last night's scores. So first off, the stunner. Home host, Russia 0, Uruguay 3. Wow.
That's right. Russia has been running. Yes, they've been running on a good run. 5-0. They have good results. But suddenly yesterday you see the trashing from Uruguay, 3-0. And Saudi Arabia, this is a surprising result as well. They actually took on Egypt and they won 2-1.
I mean, Mo Salah got his one goal in, which I think was definitely the relief, the joy on his face spoke volumes. But, I mean, his shoulder is still not at 100%, and that definitely affected the outcome.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
This is another stunner as well. Spain and Morocco. Spain was actually capped to win this.
2-2.
2-2. Yeah. No, Spain was actually poised to win. But, you know, Morocco actually came out with a really, really good, stunning game, I think, to hold one of the world champions, actually, at par. Now, another game as well. We've seen Portugal running very, very well with their result. They drew with Spain.
I think what happened to Portugal yesterday, I mean, Ronaldo was on fire in previous games.
He missed the penalty, which a lot of people were very unhappy about.
Yep.
And they actually, Iran is not really a good team from the Middle East, right? Well, they're good, but they're not.
I mean, compared to Portugal's team and the combined firepower.
Exactly. So, but they held them 1-1. But I think Spain and Portugal has already qualified through Group 2.
True enough. So I think
round of 16.
I think as we're moving in closer to the round of 16, Fabes, the main thing I can think of is literally it's Russian roulette for the punters. Everybody who's been betting has been losing money for sure.
Exactly.
Right? What a World Cup. I think that's great.
I hope, this is my personal hope, if you hate me, that's not my problem. I hope to not see Argentina in the round of 16.
Why?
Because they do not deserve at all to go past the group stages for the games that they have played, right?
So far,
That's why I feel. Now, let's go on to our more local stories. Now, if you've been donating to Tabung Harapan, thank you very much.
Yes, you'll be happy to know that, yes, as of yesterday, we have surpassed the 100 million ringgit mark.
That's right.
Wow.
It's 108,215,946 ringgit and 39 cents. That's the number that was released by the Treasury website or the Ministry of Finance, to be exact.
That's right. Now, of course, speaking of Ministry of Finance, we also have YB Lim Guan Eng coming under fire with regards to the use of language in a Facebook posting which he made. Right.
And the Prime Minister doesn't want this to be an issue, which in Tun's words means sort this out.
Yeah, without over politicizing it, perhaps.
Right. Now, also Tun M on that note, Tun M actually clarifies that there's no squabbling against Pakatan Harapan or amongst Pakatan Harapan minister post, because swearing is on the 2nd of June. Sorry, 2nd of July.
That's right.
I'm so sorry.
No traveling back in time. So 2nd of July, I think everybody was anticipating it was going to be yesterday. But rest assured, it will be in early next week.
Yes, as our first story, we would like to share with you that the Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Mahmud V consented to the Prime Minister Tun Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's cabinet lineup when it was presented to him last week on June 20th and Istana Negara actually confirmed it.
That's right. Now, the controller of the royal household for the Istana Negara, Datuk Wan Ahmad Dahlan Abdul Aziz, said that the list was presented to the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on June the 20th, who has consented to the lineup. So there's absolutely no issue as far as that goes. Everything that you're hearing is literally just word of mouth, some hearsay. In the mix.
Exactly. And the full list is so not even out, right?
Not yet. So
we are anticipating 13 right now,
and we're anticipating 15 more ministerial posts and cabinet posts to be landed up.
Right, and this is the posting or the official statement from the, I think it's from the Istana Negara, right?
That's right.
Okay, we're going to move on to our next story. Finance needs restructuring, and this is according to our communications minister, Gobind Singh. Now, he said that why this needs to be done, Gobind Singh Dio, needs a large-scale restructuring to ensure the smooth governance at the agency. Now, apparently, he said change was important because there's some channeling of government funds that's been misappropriately used. And
this has been going on for decades, literally, which is what also comes around to explaining the consistently low quality of local productions.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of advertisements or a lot of all the other things. It's really bad in production terms, right?
Production quality, exactly. So that, of course, beggars the question, are the full funds being channeled towards the production, or is there some middleman, etc., coming in there and sneaking away with the funds, which is definitely what's been happening. So Gobind Singh Deo intends to have this changed.
Right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we've got more stories for you, especially one that is quite hotly debated, actually.
That's right, on social media. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back. Hello and welcome back to BERNAMA Today with me, Tamina Kauji, and Fabian Narcis in the studios on BERNAMA News Channel, where it is all about you. So we've been bringing you plenty of headlines, local and international. Now, one of the hot topics being debated in the social media sphere, especially right now, is definitely the Siti Kasim arrest case, whereby, of course, Home Minister Muhyiddin Yassin has urged Inspector General of Police Muhammad Fuzi Harun to give him a detailed report.
That's right.
I mean, this is also coming on the backs of just yesterday, Fabes, Attorney General Tommy Thomas saying that Malaysians no longer need to fear the midnight knock of the police on their door.
Right, and it didn't happen to us. Well,
but it has happened to Siti.
No, in Siti, our ex-Prime Minister as well. They raided his house right in the middle of the night, right?
Right.
Now, Suhakam, if you do not know, the people that stands for human rights.
That's right.
They came out with a press statement, and they actually said, they actually condemned the action against Siti Kasim, and they deemed it as harassment. It's a two-pager
two-page statement.
Two-page statement. That's right.
Now, Suhakam Chairman Tan Sri Razali Ismail said there was no adequate and reasonable investigation into the factual circumstances of the case in which Siti was arrested for allegedly kidnapping her client and obstructing the police from carrying out their duties, which of course does not make any sense since her client, Miss Anis, is an adult, legally an adult.
Right. As you can see, this is the official Suhakam statement that we're displaying for you, and the Malaysian Bar as well, they actually came out and said or demanded the police to refrain from any action which is likely to harass or obstruct lawyers from performing their duties in the wake of lawyer Siti Kasim's recent arrest.
That's right.
I think this is also important. You know, remember when the police arrest you, they say you have the right to remain silent.
That's right. They read out your summary of lists.
Exactly. And one of the things that they say is you have the right to a lawyer. Am I right? So I hope that this has been practiced, because Hindra was also saying that they're calling the IGP to apologize for the police actions against Siti Kasim. That was what happened.
Now, I think in the background, what has actually happened is that the reason behind Siti's arrest would be because of the pressure Jayus put on the police, which is something that needs to be brought to the forefront, because whatever it is, we're talking about the legal rights of the individual, both Siti as well as her client Anis. They were not contravening any of the law. But in fact, of course, it has been thrown out by the courts itself, and Siti was released because the police did not have any grounds to arrest her.
Right. What we're trying to say here is basically there is a rule of law that Malaysia has, and there's a certain process to go through for the police or whoever it is to arrest somebody. What we are urging or what we are trying to say is follow that. That's
exactly.
all.
So we're definitely waiting to see what Home Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin will say. Moving along from there to the Health Ministry, which is now pooling, which is now mulling
actually to pool
procurement for medicines,
which I think is really a bad idea. Now, what they say is that pooling medicines or Well, what they say is that it's when you pull it all together, you make it like a volume based, and it's cheaper. Now, I think importing from a national level, it's okay, but we need to decentralize monopoly, so to say, right? Now, but according to this is what they say, that purchasing in bulk, they'll have a better bargaining and negotiating power, and costs will come down. Dr. Zulkifli actually earlier said that the move to review all existing medical supplies concession agreements to government hospitals was to optimize the supply chain and ensure a win-win situation for all parties involved. Well, maybe this is what we do not know, right? There could be it could be divided into states. Maybe, I'm just saying, right?
Perhaps.
But yeah, but let's let them do what it is. For me is, yeah, for me is just ensure that it's clear to the public, right?
Yeah, there's no monopoly, because when we talk about monopolies, as in the situation of ride car apps, you've got only Grab car right now. We see price surges.
All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we've got Dr. Alice in the house. And Dr. Alice is our resident wellness physician. She'll be in to talk about stem cells. All that and more after the break. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching BERNAMA today on BERNAMA News Channel. I'm Fabian Narcis. With me, a very special guest, our resident wellness physician, Dr. Alice in the house. And today we'll be talking about stem cells. Now, I know you and we both have heard a lot about stem cells, but what is it exactly? Can it be in a product for it to work, or you know, we have not found out a lot about stem cells because it's been just popularized like, about 5 to 6 years ago. And now we have Dr. Alice, because many clinics are actually offering cell treatments or stem cell treatments, and they claim that it works. Now the thing is this, okay, a lot of therapies or a lot of things out there are not really supported by facts and figures, or maybe they need more time for them to give us a proper and hard copy of, you know, whether stem cell works or not. But maybe in very simple terms, can you explain to me a little bit what is stem cells, and what are the classes, or how does it divide? And you know, earlier on we spoke off air that stem cell cannot be in a cream or cannot be in a product. No,
absolutely not.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely not. And it cannot be swallowed in pills, basically because stem cells are live cells. And these are cells that can multiply continuously in a linear chain, and they can also at some time divide into other cells. So these are characteristics of stem cells. So for it has to be live, so it cannot be preserved into cream forms or lotion forms or into tablets. And to answer your next question, what are the different types of stem cells? So we have the embryonic cells, and maybe if there is some picture, we can actually have a look. And you have stem cells that is coming from the embryonic, the blastocyst as we call it, and it is coming from the inner lining, and these we call as pluripotent. Pluripotent is something like omnipotent. That means this cells develop 3 to 5 days after fertilization has occurred in a mammal, and these cells will continue to develop into many different organs. So they are called pluripotent, and they have a tendency to multiply without stopping. Okay, so this is the embryonic stem cells, which is where stem cell therapies initially started.
I see.
Okay, and then we have the fetal stem cells. Fetal stem cells are found in not from inside the blastocyst or the developing the sperm and the ovum when it starts to combine together, but this can be in other parts of the fetus itself. But these cells are not pluripotent or omnipotent, they are actually multipotent. That means one stem cell will divide into a special group of cells. And then we have the adult stem cells. What we are seeing in the screen right now is adipose stem cells. That means stem cells are very rich in fats in our body. So, and when these fats can be extracted through a very small liposuction, they can actually be created to form adipose derived stem cells or adult stem cells, which are similar to mesenchyme. So we can see that what are the different organs it is dividing into. So we can actually process these fats take out the stem cells from them and immediately put it back into the patient. So it can start to regenerate nervous system, can start to regenerate many organs, including the heart, the kidney. It can regenerate blood vessels. It can actually also help with cartilage and bones.
What you're trying to say is basically these cells actually kind of heal, grow over time.
Yes.
When it's used properly, right?
Yes, it is used to heal. It's also used to control many of the metabolic diseases. As you know, Fabian, now everything is degenerative diseases, non-communicable diseases, because infections and other forms of death is gone. But we are an aging society and we are suffering with a lot of degeneration. So it can also be used to treat a lot of regenerative conditions, including, if we talk from the top, if you remember the first slide, it can be Parkinsonism, it can be Alzheimer's, it can be heart problems, it can be atherosclerosis, it can also be diabetes, it can also be joint problems. Of course, for beauty, it is used for the skin and for hair growth.
And now, doctors and scientists are actually excited about human embryonic stem cells. Maybe you can go a bit deeper with that. Is that something to do with makeup, or is that something to do with what human embryonic? Maybe share with me. Like I said,
nobody
zero.
in the right sense would want to take the risk of using embryonic cells to use for beauty. Basically, embryonic cells are used to save lives. And embryonic cells have their own risk. It has been found to, because of the way, you remember how these cells can continuously divide and multiply, and it can grow, and it can grow to different things. We can't control it once it's inside. So if someone has got a small cancer molecule, you know, which is latent, but it is there, these cells can also go and multiply them. So
it can become cancer as well, right?
Yes. And other than the ethical reasons, religious reasons of getting, how do we get these embryonic cells? We are getting it from abortions. So this is really not right, basically, because we are killing babies and we are extracting these embryonic cells. So it can be, in my opinion, used to save lives. You know, if it is something very bad, you know, like a liver failure, you know, it can be used to revive back. It's been found to be used in in heart, when the heart muscle is kind of dying, infarcted and is dying, then we can regenerate them.
Is that the only way? I'm just wondering. Is that the only way for it to extract from the fetus?
Yeah, but there's a lot of other research that is going on. Currently, it's also some amniotic fluid stem cells have started to be used. Amniotic fluid cells, though, are not similar to the embryonic cells, because amniotic fluid, which is where the baby lives for the 9 months, those cells are multipotent cells. They are similar to adult cells. They only can divide to that particular group.
I see.
Like for example, we have mesenchymal stem cells. So mesenchymal stem cells are from the development stage. It's from the mesoderm part, which will supply like the skin, the hair, the nails, the joints, the cartilage, and some of the important organs of the body. So it will only divide into those. It can't go and divide into a blood vessel.
I see. Okay, I understand now. Now, talk about the different types of stem cells. What's the best use for therapy?
We use a lot for adult stem cell type. And adult stem cell type can be taken, of course, from that particular organ itself, and that is like a organ transplant if you wanted to give from one person to another. But if the same person were to use it from their own, then it is safe, basically, because they don't need to have their immunity suppressed. They don't have to be on drugs throughout the rest of their time. So the most important cells we are using right now is adult stem cells. And because adult stem cells are found in bone marrow, it is found in fats, or it's found in the particular organs. So we are using fats as an abundant supply, because all of us have great amounts of fats, and in a safe way, 100 ml of fat can be extracted, and this can yield beautiful amount of stem cells. If purified, it can be used for many, many reasons, not just cosmetic, but it can be used a lot for improving well-being, preventive degenerative diseases like diabetes and you know, heart problems as well. For liver cirrhosis, there's a lot and lot of research, and there's a lot of use for kidney failure and so on.
So this is revolutionizing modern medicine. That's what you're trying to tell me.
Yes.
Okay.
Stem cells, even in cosmetic medicine, stem cells, we have spoken about platelet-rich plasmas, the healing powers. We've talked about how stem cells, mesenchymal type, can regenerate skin cells in cases where the patient needed the skin to heal. In wound managements, where the wound does not heal, in diabetic ulcers, it can stop the advent of having to remove one's whole limb.
I see.
So in a lot of ways, this is very looking forward, and it's revolutionizing and also changing the way medicine is developing right now. Though there's a lot of medical faculty who sit on the fence when it comes to that, still waiting for further research and all those things. But in joints, it's already been accepted as one of the golden standards for treating and regenerating joint illnesses.
Dr. Alice, before we go, maybe you can share with us some of the doctors or the people that you actually know that are experts in this field to help the people that want to find out a little bit more. Because if you ask me, a 50-minute session on TV would not help, right? Yeah.
My suggestion would be, I would not want to self-advertise myself, of course. My suggestion would be each and every one of us have to look at the pros and cons of having a stem cell treatment for ourselves. So it would be best to go into those, not those sites that's advertising for themselves, but go to those research-based bodies. There's a lot, and they will give you how in cancer therapies, thymus cell treatments can help, how in regenerative diseases it can help, how in type 1 and type 2 diabetes these cells can work. So that will be the first thing. And then choosing whether you want to get an embryonic stem cells or whether you want to get adult stem cell. Again, look at the pros and cons of what each one knows. So this segment is not to teach everything or tell everything, but rather to incite your excitement to read more about it and then start doing your research onto what is available locally.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alice, for being here and sharing with us. We're going to take a break, and we've got more updates right here on BERNAMA News Channel. Stay tuned with us.
Hello and welcome back to BERNAMA. Today we are here coming live from the BERNAMA News Channel, where it is all about you. So for Tuesday's edition, Fabian and I in the studios. We hope you had a wonderful day yesterday, and especially watching all the World Cup.
Yes, that's right. We'll watch a World Cup match. Oh, by the way, it's 26th of June for your information.
That's right. Just in case you were wondering.
Yes, exactly. Now, our World Cup matches, as you know, Uruguay beat Russia. Let's just do a roundup, right? How about that? Uruguay beat Russia 3-0.
Exactly.
Saudi Arabia beat Egypt 2-1. Spain Spain and Morocco drew even, and also Iran and also Portugal drew even as well, 1-1.
Exactly.
So that's the stories that we have for you for World Cup.
Lots of stunners in there, and you know, I think that really this is a bad World Cup for the punters, because all the favorites don't seem to be doing too great now, do they?
Exactly.
I think you've got Portugal, you've got even Russia, who are at home country. 0.
Germany, Argentina. So yeah, Argentinian games coming up in a few days.
Any predictions, Fabes?
No, like I said, you know, I want them out of, you know, I want them not to go through to the round of 16 because they don't deserve to be in the next round.
Wow.
Yeah,
brave statement, but I don't think that it's misplaced, you know. But
no,
of course,
it's not
moving into a couple of the top news stories, internationally speaking, Saudi Arabian Ministry of Interior has already received more than 12,000 applications for women who want to drive ever since the ban has been lifted just on Sunday.
Right. So what happens is that the Saudi Interior Ministry, they are actually putting a huge effort to reduce the number of accidents and to address the lack of driving experience among Saudi women as well. So with laws and regulations, punishments applied equally to men and women without discriminating. That's what they kind of want to do in Saudi Arabia right now.
Right, exactly. So to ensure not just that women are driving, but that everybody is safe on the roads.
Exactly.
So definitely a huge step forward for all Saudi Arabian women. And in particular, this movement was pushed forth by the feminists in Saudi Arabia. All of those who have also recently been imprisoned for their efforts. But anyhow,
really?
moving along into banning of plastic straws, which is also on the cards.
Right. So plastic straws, actually, this plastic thing was been widely debated already. You know, 2 weeks ago we were talking about World Plastic Day, and a lot of countries already called for non-usage of plastic. So asked about the fine when catching an the Penang government, I'm so sorry. The Penang government is looking into banning plastic straws and single-use plastics such as plastic lids and cups. His Chief Minister, Chon Kon Yu, responded by saying, just do it.
Inspired by Nike maybe, but yeah. So he's very confident about that. He said if there is a need, whatever the proposal is, just do it, because what we're doing is for the benefit of Penang and Mother Earth. And I think, you know, all of Malaysia should take a book out of Penang's and, you know, just go forth with it. What we see a lot of after any event, be it a night market, a morning market,
anywhere,
all we see is a lot of plastic refuse.
Correct.
So straws would be one step.
That's right. You see, since we're on local stories, we're going to share a little bit about local news. Let's take a look at Utusan Malaysia first. It's a top story, Tamina?
Yep, okay, so top story, Guan Eng dibida. So basically, this is about the debate of, you know, what's been going on as well on the social media channels with YB Lim Guan Eng's Facebook posting, which was in Mandarin. Now, there have been lots of thoughts that have been debated. Now, Tun basically said, you know, sort it out, which means let's not further politicize it and ensure that any media statements that come out are in a lingua franca. For Malaysia, that would, of course, be Bahasa Malaysia and English.
Right. Also, remember that Facebook is not an official channel.
Very right, babes.
Though this person may have an account there, always refer to the we always say this, okay? Even in our news practice, before we do anything at all, we have to verify that it has to be from an official source. So what is official source? Official website, official press statement, and definitely mainly the mainstream media. So that's what official is to us. New Straits Times also said that water deal with Singapore to be renegotiated. Look at that. So what happens
big headlines there.
Yeah, what happens is that they said that we only earn 3 cents per litre for you know, and they said it's not enough. So I don't know. You know, basically, you want to know the full story? It's here, right? It's
exactly.
In,
and of course, I also caught the blurb. Dr. M, full cabinet list finalized, awaiting consent. And basically, it has been confirmed that we will be seeing the ushering on of 15 more cabinet ministers on July the 2nd, which is early next week.
Right. And finally, the Star newspaper. It's a really big one, a huge picture. It's basically the 1MDB that was remanded. So what happens is that
more 80s likely to roll. No, not more heads. Okay. Interestingly enough, so definitely the 1MDB scandal, the probe has been widened, and a lot of things are happening. I mean, so just keep it up to date on BERNAMA News Channel, where we bring you 24-hour live updates on the news.
We're sure that our team at the news desk will be capturing this as well.
Exactly.
We'll be showing you the stories right after our show later on.
Now moving along to okay, let's move into the movie. Something a bit lighter. So we're talking about the reign of the sequel at the box offices worldwide. First and foremost, Jurassic World, which stomps its way to 150 million debut. We've actually got the trailer. So shall we check that out first?
Why don't we watch the trailer first? Let's go.
Yeah, brilliant.
Protections given to other species, or should they just be left to die? These creatures were here before us. And if we're not careful, they're going to be here after. You know me.
That way, why would they change math? Math is math.
Right, they actually showed a little bit of
Incredibles 2.
Incredibles 2.
Yep.
Now, Incredibles 2 as well, I find it very interesting. But wait, before we go into Incredibles, Jurassic, if you watched it before, back in the early 2000s or 1990s, right? It was
exactly, back when we were kids still.
It was called Jurassic Park. And now the franchise grew so big, it became Jurassic World. $150 million US worldwide debut. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom I think it's already in cinemas.
Absolutely. So you can actually go and check it out. But also, when we're looking at other movies, there's also the female-fronted heist film Ocean's 8, which crossed the $100 million domestically in America with 11.7 million in its third week. Not doing that great, but I think what we see a lot of is sequels and sequels. I would like some original films. You know?
Yeah, even earlier we saw Incredibles is actually a second.
It is, but that was 14 years in the making.
Yes, exactly. But you see, I felt that the storyline was pretty interesting, the new one that's coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward.
I'll definitely pay money to go and watch it because they left it so open that there was no proper ending to it. There was an ending.
It wasn't predictable,
It was
right?
Yes, it wasn't.
Exactly.
Yes, that's right. It wasn't predictable.
Yeah.
Now, Tamina will be coming in to talk to Dato' Zunaida Idris a little bit about our younger generation now. Basically, the younger generation is finding it a little bit hard to get jobs, I think.
And not just that, but also to make sure that they're successful once they enter their industry of choice.
Right.
So we'll be speaking to Dato' Zunaida about all of that and more. So do stay tuned. Right after the commercial break, we'll be back in just a jiffy. Hello and welcome back to BERNAMA Today. You're with me, Tamina Kausji now, and today we're going to focus on a conversation about corporate advice for youth, especially those just starting off their careers in the industry of their choice. We have with us in-house in the studios today, Dato' Zunaida Idris, who is the Senior Vice President of Corporate and Institutional Business Group, to share with us some golden nuggets of her advice. Dato' Zunaida, how are you today?
Thank you.
All right.
I'm having a little bit of cold, but I'm okay.
All right. But thank you still for making the time. So Dato', let's get started off by a little bit of your perspective on what do you feel are the biggest challenges facing youth who are just joining the corporate world?
Through my experience, I think the challenges that they are facing is communications. I would say it's a communication barrier between the senior, experienced people and the young generation that come into the workplace. And normally the communication is that the senior think they knows the best and the junior said, I want this. So instead of having a clear communication between the younger and the senior experienced executive so that they have a common goal and common roadmap.
Right, so basically what this would lead to would be a situation of a lot of tension in the workplace, a lot of unnecessary bric-a-bats flowing around. So how can this be minimized? Let's talk about from the employer's side. What can senior management do to make sure that their communication is understood?
Okay, what we practice, for example, in Hong Leong Investment Bank, in our dealing room, we do inclusive environment. I mean, if you are a new programmer who could join our program or intern, what we do, we include you in every level of our decision making.
Wow, so that really helps to make the new employee feel like they're part of the bigger team.
Exactly.
Right.
So then they will give their commitment, their compassion, and they feel that they need to do and to prove to us because it's a sense of belonging to the team. So it's more of a teamwork, and the success or the failure of the team is everybody is responsible. So they are given a certain level of responsibility to make sure that the program, you know, whatever task that is given have to be successful.
Now also international surveys show that increasingly about 40% of employers worldwide, they have trouble recruiting youth with the correct sort of skill set, not just qualifications but also soft skills. In your perspective, which are the most important soft skills which new employees need to be practicing?
I would say communication, networking, interpersonal skills, because regardless what industry you are in, your communication, your networking with other human being is very important. You know, so you need to have a good interpersonal skill when you are dealing with people. Regardless whether you are in engineering, you are doctors or you are bankers, you are dealing with people, human being. So your strength in interpersonal skill is very important, and your communication with people is also another factor that play a bigger role in making sure that things the way you want it to be.
Yes, so when we speak about interpersonal skills, Dato', by and large, the millennial or the younger generation, they spend a lot of time on their devices. They may be very tech savvy, but that takes a stop, especially when it comes to having to communicate. So what perhaps daily practical advice could you give for those coming into a new organization? Let's also remember the power distance, which might make new employees feel intimidated from speaking to those who are higher up.
Okay. I can only share through my experience. So
Absolutely.
What we do is that when we have a new interns or new recruits that come in, we do a session where we give them a mentoring session. That means they have someone who will be mentoring or sponsoring them. So there won't be a communication gap between the new intakes and also with the superior or the senior people in the industry. So that is one. Another one that I would advise is that it shouldn't start from the work, it should start from home. Okay. So the parents actually should make sure that they have a communication with the children from day to day on a daily basis. You know, you can't just leave the responsibility to the corporate, making sure that your children actually will
Once
have
they're
a good
adults already.
That's already too late. You know, so for myself, that my experience is because I have many nephews and nieces in my family, and I'm very close to them. So I don't have that communication gap with the new recruits that come into our department. And yes, the beauty is that they are good at technology. So what we do, we use their strength and our strength to combine so that we can achieve the common goal by using the strength of each other.
That's right. Yeah. So now when it comes down to mentorship, moving back into that, what is the value, especially perhaps you can use your own personal example, Dato. How much value did having a mentor bring to your career and also being able to achieve what you have so far?
Okay. Mentoring is very important. You must not confuse between mentoring and define yourself with other people's success. I just want to make it clear. You know, sometimes what you do is you are measuring your success with other people, and sometimes you become offside of your achievement and your own success because you keep on comparing. But mentor is someone who will actually guide you, and they will be there when you are going through a challenges in your career or in your life or your roadmap, you know, where you want to be in many years, in 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, you know. So they have experience and they have gone through many challenges in their life, so they can share with you what are the right skills that you need and how to manage your challenges in life or in your career path.
Now, speaking about roadmaps, Dato, one of the primary challenges which faces especially millennial employees, and employers agree, is job hopping. Yes. So if you're not staying long enough in an institution, how can you even have a roadmap? What do you suggest for those who are always changing jobs? What can they do to perhaps re-examine and see why is it that I'm always changing jobs and even industries?
Okay, there are two things that I would like to share. Is one is you must pursue something that is meaningful to you. And so what we do in Hong Leong, we have a team or a group of new intakes. So what we do, we will do an attachment. They will have an attachment for a different department, maybe for 3 months or 6 months, because their total internship is about for 2 years. Right. So then they will identify which are the department will have their passion or their commitment or the department that they would like to be. For example, if they want to do bonds, so they know they need to be in the treasury to do bond trading. If they want to do a corporate finance, then they have to go to corporate finance. If they want to be a dealer, then they go into a dealing room. Right. So that few months that their attachment and they're going round in the institution, they will already know probably a little bit of what would be the department that they want to be. And maybe from there, if they have a mentor from the department, they can guide them what they need to do, what are the skills, what are the knowledge, and what are the responsibilities that they need to have.
Right, so really having it very clear, not just what you want to do, but how you get to do it. So moving from there, Dato, into the question of looking at the gender differences in the workplace. Now, of course, Malaysian women are coming up and coming into their own in the modern workplace, but what are some of the challenges that you particularly feel also ensure that they are held back from achieving their best?
Okay. Speaking on from my experience, in my early days, you know, most Malaysian women, we are very timid and shy. I started in that paradigm. but because I have a good mentor who keep on encouraging me, he always tell me, if you're given an opportunity, you must grab that opportunity, because opportunity only come once. And I think that is where a lot of Malaysian women, or Asian women for that matters, normally we are very skeptical. If you are given a certain position, we will say, can we do it? We will not take that opportunity. It's different than men. Most men, they will just take it and they do it, and if they face challenges during that time,
they figure it out.
Yes.
Okay, right. So definitely communication styles and also mental attitudes.
Yes.
Now, there's also definitely workplace politics, whereby certain industries in particular, they have a big boys club when it comes to upper management roles.
Yes.
Yourself as a woman, also sitting on several boards, in your experience and in your career, how do you overcome the challenges of, well, going into a room full of men in equal positions of power, but also having your voice heard?
Okay. Through my experience, that's what beside mentoring, you need sponsors. Sponsors means somebody who believe in your capabilities, who believe in you can do it, and someone who actually push you to be in a certain position. So that will make it easier for you to achieve. And another one is networking. I mentioned to you earlier, networking is very important, because you never know who's the person that you're networking with.
Now, when we think of networking, generally it's mistaken to mean socializing.
No,
so let's clarify that.
Okay.
So what would you say is proper professional networking, which can lead to career development?
Yeah, it's a professional networking, especially when you attended seminars, international conferences, and even talks, where you meet a lot of people at a conferences, and you can identify the industry that you should or want to go into. So through that, via that networking, for example, in my case, I do a lot of networking in oil and gas industry, and through my networking, and they see my capabilities and they have confidence in me, and I've been nominated to become a council member of Malaysian Gas Association, where I am actually is in a banking industry.
That's right. So definitely that shows the sheer value of it.
Yes.
Now, moving back into Malaysian women only accounting for roughly 17.9% of directors on top PLC boards in Malaysia. So what are some systemic changes and reforms that you feel that could be taken by the government or responsible ministries?
Okay. From what I understand, there are some ministries and bodies that already started the mentoring program. For example, the Ministry of Women and Talent Corp, and also there is this group called 30% Club Work Group. So they have been working very hard to push for the agenda of 30% women on board.
Right.
From what I understand, they have this men-boys club where there are some board of directors. I find it difficult for them actually to engage or welcome a new ladies in the board.
Right.
Maybe it's a different level of communication, or maybe because they don't know you, and that's why, as my earlier conversation, like I mentioned to you,
be bold and converse.
Yeah, you have to be clear, you have to be precise. Your communication have to be clear and persistent. And another issues that we see is that's why your networking and sponsorship is important. So somebody knows you and they will speak for you when your name is being or interview you for the board of directors.
Right. So thank you so much for all your little tips and trills, Dato. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and we wish you all the very best with all your future endeavors.
Okay, thank you, Samina.
Absolutely. So there you have it. We're wrapping up here on BERNAMA today. I'm Tamina Kauji signing off. Do stay tuned for the news right after.